Last night, we saw what was arguably the worst loss for the Hurricanes in the Rod Brind'Amour era in Edmonton as they got their butts blown out. We talk about the crap storm that was that game in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Thursday evening. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit fanduel.com/locked on to get started. Now, folks, last night was arguably the worst loss for the Hurricanes under Rod Brind'Amour. That was truly, truly abysmal. Like, bad games happen. We all know that. We've all seen our fair share of bad games, from the Hurricanes and from our other favorite sports teams. But good freaking Lord. That was I have no words. I said in the top of the episode, it was a crap storm, and that doesn't even describe it enough. The Oilers scored twice in the opening minute. Pyotr Kochetkov, he got pulled with like having only played like 5 minutes and change in the game, allowed 3 goals on 6 shots. And Rod Brind'Amour, he never ever does that. And so for him to do that, that's it's not great. And that's not great. And obviously, with Antti Raanta thing coming in, it's not like it got any better either. So the obviously, the team was mad. We'll talk about what Brind'Amour said during the broadcast in a second. But man, I said a couple weeks ago. I forget who the loss was to, but Jordan Stahl, who also has not been playing that great either, was talking about how folks weren't buying in to what the Hurricanes are doing. And I said then that if you got to make the change, make the change. Get them out. And that's even more true now. It's bad. We're going to talk more about changes, moves that need to be made in a bit. But just as far as to what went wrong in this game, again, like I said, just right out of the gate, it was not good. And I thought, obviously, the Oilers are getting better than what they were starting out this season. But I thought, okay, this could be a game that they should probably win, and they can use it as confidence building. Just getting back on track. This could be that could have been a good game to do that, and it was a complete 180 from what I wanted that game to be for them. Because even if they still lost, okay, you can still go out there, have a good game, have some stuff to build off of. There was jack to build off of in this game. It was not good. And we'll take a quick look at what was said post game, because I think that God, it was rough. Again, as I mentioned a second ago, during the TNT broadcast, that's what the game was on. And Brind'Amour, and obviously we've all seen the clip I'm talking about now, but he said, we're on our way to losing 50 to nothing at this point. I've never seen our team play this brutal. At this point, I'm a loss for words, to be quite honest. We weren't ready to start. That was clear. And yeah, Rod Brind'Amour, he's never one to mince words, when it comes to stuff, aside, from, trying not to get fined for criticizing officials and whatnot. And, we all remember that. But, it's where's the lie? He's not lying here, and it was bad. Going down a little bit more. I obviously have the post game stuff up here on my other monitor. Brind'Amour said, sharing his thoughts after the loss. Quote: "It was a bad game from start to finish. We didn't have anything going. When you get in a hole like that off the bat, that's certainly not how you want to start a game. I haven't seen a game like that out of us. So I'm a little lost for words. Not acceptable, that's for sure. Our top guys, especially, have got to show up a little more. You see their top guys out there, that's for sure. We've got to get better." How many times have we said that? Hurricanes top guys need to show up. And, because this obviously last night was a bright and shining example of exactly that, of them not showing up. And, but with that game, it wasn't even one where, all right, your top guys didn't show up, but, your more depth guys did and at least gave you a chance, or, in cases like we've seen before, got them the win. That wasn't the case. Just nobody showed up for work that day. And I would have to be in that locker room after the loss would have been interesting, because I think it went. I probably think it went both ways. I think that there was absolute silence of no one wanting to say a word, and everyone just being extremely frustrated and mad, which I get. I would be in the exact same boat. I'm sure you would be as well. But I also feel like there was probably going to be quite a bit of shouting in that one. By who I don't know, but I think that it's definitely one where folks need to step up. And if they don't want to be there, going back to that whole thing of guys aren't buying into what the Hurricanes are doing, then they just need to make the move. Just there's the door. Let's get the trade going. And it's as far as who it could be, I don't know. Nor do I care. At this point, if you don't want to be there, then you don't want to be there. If you're not going to buy in, you're not going to buy in. So bye. Uh, Jordan Stahl, he spoke as well. And he was says, giving similar words, to what Rod Brind'Amour was saying. Quote: "It wasn't pretty the whole game. Embarrassing, really. It's a good thing we play tomorrow. I wouldn't want to sit on that one for too long. They got 2 goals in the first minute, and it's tough to come back after that in this league. They were fresh and ready to go. We were slow and not buying into anything we do. That's what that's going to look like." Get it's yeah, it is one of those things where you're at a loss for words, because again, going into the season, this was a Stanley Cup favorite team, and this is that's looking like, a team that's vying for the number one draft pick, or if this was soccer, a team that's facing relegation. That was not. This is not a playoff team right now. Plain and simple, it is not. And they have got to get their stuff together. And I think a big part of that is going to be changes needing to be made. I think it is. These changes, they've got to come. I know I was saying that, oh, maybe they should, wait it out a little bit longer, see, if things can start to gel a little bit more, if they can get something going, if they can start to build stuff. But at this point, this is rock bottom. I know longtime Hurricanes fans, they'll remember the dark days, but this is dark days level stuff, in my opinion. This is bad. Like, we have not seen, again, we've seen bad games from this team since, they've, you know, gone back on the come up and been a good team as a whole again. But and that's gonna happen. I always say that bad games are gonna happen. But this was, Brind'Amour said it best. It's not acceptable at all. And again, Stahl saying, folks, not buying into anything. Obviously that was evidence last night out on the ice, but I think it's been evident for a while now, just the way things aren't gelling. I think they've got to change something, and we'll talk about what changes I think need to be made right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of life, but can we talk for just a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like am- amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if one of my friends or loved ones or one of my other people I'm close to got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from their life saving medication they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of five different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jasemedical.com and use offer code locked on to get $20 off your first order. Now, changes that need to be made. First and foremost, Hurricanes got to get a goalie. Is it going to fix all the problems? No, it's not. Plain and simple. I have a couple tweets bookmarked here, from Sarah Sivian. She's saying, if the Hurricanes don't trade for a goalie before the trade deadline, they really have no excuses this time. Like, what are you doing? Then she went on to say, I don't know how many times I have to tell you, Rod will never criticize management. He will subtly ask for things via the media. This was one in referring to a tweet, about a quote that Colin Madwell put out a little bit earlier, saying Rod Brind'Amour was asked for an update on Freddie Anderson yesterday. Quote, we really don't have an update on that. That's a long-term thing. Brind'Amour also reflected on Anderson's time with the team. Quote, it's unfortunate, really since we brought him in, he hasn't been healthy. Brind'Amour said yesterday, we didn't get him in the playoffs. We didn't get him when you need him. Now you're more concerned about his overall health. So they got to get a goalie. Again, going to Colin's tweet from Brind'Amour saying that, Freddie hasn't been healthy. And obviously right now, we don't know when he'll come back. And you're while Kochetkov and Ranta are good number two options, neither of them. I know a lot of us want Kochetkov to be the number one goalie in the future, but he's not ready for that weight yet. The Hurricanes need to go out and get a goalie sooner rather than later. Honestly, I think, obviously, if you're on the phone today, the asking prices are probably going to be a little bit high because they're going to know that you like really, really need one, and maybe give it a little bit of time, for this game to kind of go out of the memory a little bit. Maybe have a couple good games in there, to maybe bring that asking price down for whoever it is they're going to look for. But yeah, they 100% got to get a goalie. Um, I think that they need to shed some of the unnecessary moves that were made this offseason. Tony D'Angelo, again, that's one I went back to a lot. Yeah, he's a traffic cone out there, defensive liability, and also hasn't bring it offensively this year either. Again, he's playing on the third pairing now. Uh, he's not playing on that top pair with Jacob Slavin covering up his mistakes anymore. So he's not making he wasn't making the most of his ice time, and now he's sitting up in the press box. I think he's one that you can move from. You're not going to get a big return for him at all because he hasn't been great this year. He was coming off a bad year in Philly also. So his price is going to be, or his return is going to be low. I think you're looking at a late round draft pick, or he's a part of a package deal, which I think is probably going to be the most likely. Brendan Lemieux, another guy, he ain't seeing no ice time. It wasn't a move that you really needed to go out and make. Uh, and I get okay, you want some of that physicality and grit coming down the stretch, going into the playoffs. But right now, you're not even looking like a playoff team. All right. And he's not playing at all. He's sitting up in the press box. How many games has has he even played this year? Because I know it hasn't been much. And eh, so that's just another one where it's like, okay, you're not playing him at all. Why are you still even having him play or having him what's the point, he's played 9 games this year. So he's not even playing, like, just move on. He's just taking up space. I know he's obviously not, like, on a crazy big contract or anything like that, but it if he can get him send him off in a package deal for someone, then sure. And I think that, maybe, having all right, you get D'Angelo out. There's no, wondering what's going on with that third pairing. Orlov, he's also still struggling. I know they're not going to move on with him, considering how much they invested in him. I don't think that things would have to go really, really south for that to happen. Um, but I think that Lemieux, D'Angelo, those are guys that are totally up. And obviously, if you're going to trade a goalie, that means Antti Raanta will probably be on the move as well. I don't see them giving up Kochetkov at all. I think they're kind of seeing him as the goalie of the future. Fingers crossed on that at least. We thought the same about Alex Nedeljkovic for a while. That ended up not being the case. But, I think that's one you got to do as well. And then, of course, you look at guys on expiring deals. It Brett Pesce, and Brady Shea. Those were guys that were Pesce, especially being a guy whose name was really around in trade rumors in the offseason and really early on in the regular season and preseason also. So, all right, he's because I've said many times, if you want to get good, you got to give up good. So, he's a guy, he could potentially be in there as well. And Teuvo Teravainen, another guy that we had talked about during the offseason of being a guy that could get moved. I really think they need to make the moves sooner rather than later. Not obviously not. I mean, they're playing tonight, so obviously not. But you know, I think probably like after this road trip is done, and I could really see them. All right, they're not gonna blow it up, fire sale, anything like that. We all know that's not gonna be the case, but I think they just need to go ahead and make the moves that they need to make. And like I said earlier, if there's guys that aren't buying in and are bringing the team down, bringing locker room morale down, all that kind of stuff, deuces. There's the door to my porch, but the front door is like right over there. Bye. There's the door. And because I would rather have a team where they mesh and play well together, and then okay, they don't make the playoffs. Than have extremely dysfunctional team where no one's on the same page, and them do the same thing. I would rather have a team where they're all on the same page, and then, all right, if things, you know, don't go your way, then they don't go your way, but everyone's on the same page. I would rather want that, because at least everyone's on the same page. Everyone is working towards that common goal of getting the win, getting to the playoffs, getting to the Stanley Cup, winning the Stanley Cup. And I obviously know, all right, everyone on that team is going to say they want to win a Stanley Cup, but if they're not on the same page of like, all right, this is, for example, tonight against the Flames. All right, we need to go out there and do this, 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 and this. Avoid doing this, and this. If everyone's not going to be on that same page, then the folks that aren't buying in, that are causing those issues, buy. Plain and simple. Like, I don't want it. I just simply wouldn't want that in my locker room. And I know, all right, every sports team, they're going to go through rough patches. They're going to have bad games. I've said that countless times here on the show, where, the Hurricanes have had a bad game before, where, all right, we just, bad games happen. We've brought, obviously the clip was making its round last night and today, but that old one of Justin Williams, when he was saying sometimes, you just gotta eat the poop sandwich and go with it. And we all know that clip. Like, yeah, this is that situation. You do just gotta eat the poop sandwich here. But I think that they're getting to the point where there's no excuses. Like Sarah Sivian said, you got to go out and get a goalie. You got to. There's no excuses at this point. That was something you should have done last off season, or this past off season. Let's be quite honest. They should have done that. And they should have made a move, to get, obviously, Tarasenko, he was, the real big name, but make a move to get a good goal scorer. And you didn't need D'Angelo. You didn't need Lemieux. And think about, some of the other moves that have made, for guys, that are down in the AHL, guys that have gotten traded in smaller moves, again, AHL level guys. You look at some of these things like, why'd you do that? It was unnecessarily trying to play money ball moves when the obvious answer probably was the right answer. Getting that goal score was probably the best idea. Getting that goalie that, again, we all love Freddie, but like Brind'Amour said, he hasn't been healthy since he got here. And we obviously wish him, the speediest of recoveries with his blood clotting issue. And, hopefully he can get back and really help this team, get back on track to where they need to be. Because when he's on, he's on. And Fredzilla, brick wall. But he hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been there as much as the Hurricanes were probably banking on him being. So I think that they need, and you don't know when he's going to be back. It's not like, oh, he's going to be back, January 2nd or whatever. I don't even know if they're playing that day, but you're not even like that. You don't know when he's going to come back. So they need to go out, get that goalie. And I think that, and they need to go out and do something with their offense, get some guys, get someone that can really just put the puck in the back of the net. Yes, you have guys on your roster that can do that right now. You do. And that's great. That's fantastic. But we've also been saying that for years now. If you have the guys on the roster that could, but sometimes they struggle to put that together. But first and foremost is they need to go out and get a goalie. They got to. I don't see it happening on this road trip at all. But I definitely think Dom Waddell. He's time of recording probably off work, but I don't know. Probably down Edwards Mill Road in the offices. Probably sending some emails, making some phone calls, trying to see what they can do in terms of getting a true number one goalie. They got to be, because again, what are you doing if you don't? This is not a playoff team right now. But we can sit here and talk till the cows come home about the changes that they need to make, about how bad the game against the Oilers was last night. It's not gonna change the outcome of last night's game. It's not gonna speed up any changes that are going to be coming. So now we just, like Stahl said, they're playing tonight. We just got to focus on that game tonight against Calgary, and we'll give a quick preview of that game right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, all right, the NFL season, the NHL season, the NBA season, all of it is underway right now. So right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet on FanDuel. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And of course, you can bet on your favorite NFL team, whether you're a Patriots fan or Panthers fan like me, or if you're a fan, of the Eagles, of the Chiefs, of the Jaguars, whoever, you can go bet on your favorite team there. And of course, you can always bet on the Carolina Hurricanes. That puck drop is still a ways away from tonight, so you can get your bets in on that game soon. So visit fanduel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Now, looking ahead to tonight's game against the Calgary Flames, it's funny. I really don't have a whole lot of notes here for this one. My main note is just for them to show up. Just show up. You didn't last night against Edmonton. Just show up. Just show up. I don't care if you win or lose. I really don't. I just want there to be something positive to come out of this game. Obviously, would want to win. Who wouldn't? But like, they have got to come out and play hockey, show up to work. Don't it wasn't even going through the motions. Like, they've got to show up to this game tonight. Make it a game. Make it a game. The game against Edmonton was done. With what was it? Within the opening minute, it was done. You know how mad I would have been if I was at that game, if I had flown from Raleigh, North Carolina to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada for that. You know how mad I would have been to go out there and see that. Ah, it would have been rough. It'd been rough. But they got to show up tonight. Plain and simple. Just show up. Just have something to build off of. Play like you. It sounds like super cheesy and like something off of like a Disney Channel commercial, but play like you mean it. It sounds like something that would be on a toy commercial, but I think that fits here. Of you know, just show up. Brind'Amour called out the top guys, so obviously I'm going to sit here and call them out too. Sebastian Aho, Jesper Kotkaniemi, Andrei Svechnikov, Seth Jarvis, David Jeremiah, Jacob Slavin, Brent Burns. I'm gonna call those guys out. Show the hell up. You're the top guys there. Show up. But I'm also going to call out every single other guy on that roster because, like I said earlier, there have been games where, the top guys didn't show up, and the depth guys did. And, they either made a game, got them a win or just had something to build off of. But that wasn't the case in Edmonton. So everyone on that roster needs to show up tonight. Plain and simple. Win or lose, they've got to show up tonight. As far as lineup predictions or anything like that, I really don't I don't really expect us to see the same lineup that we saw against Edmonton. I don't expect that at all. I definitely expect there to be some changes coming in the lineup. That's for sure. So, as far as what it could be, I don't know. There's been speculation of Martinook going up to the first line because we've seen that in the past. Of all right, things start going south a bit. Marty moves up. I could definitely see something like that happening, but I think it could literally be anything. I was talking earlier about when changes of you know D'Angelo and Lemieux not playing. D'Angelo definitely don't play him because your defense is already in shambles and you don't need that. But like Lemieux, I could see him, potentially slotting in. But even then, in the what was it, 9 games that he's played, he hasn't been all that great either. So, I think it would be something that's on the table. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. But I would definitely expect some changes in terms of the lineup tonight. And the thing is, I wouldn't even say that the Slave and Burns, Shea Pesci pairings are untouchable with just how bad, the Hurricanes defense has been. Brind'Amour said a few weeks ago that that wasn't something they were wanting to do, but it's something if they had to, they would. So if I think we're getting to that point where it is starting to get it's not out of the question of that stuff happening. Now, in terms of goal, who's going to be in goal tonight? That's going to be interesting because I honestly have no freaking idea what the plan is going to be because it was a back to back. The plan probably was Kochetkov plays last night, Ronta plays tonight, and that wasn't the case. So I've seen a lot of folks speculate. All right, they'll probably go back to Kochetkov again because he played just 5 minutes and 46 seconds in that game. Was not good in him, but I could see that being something that they do of go to him tonight. But and he needs to be on his game. Whether it's Kochetkov, whether it's Ronta, that guy needs to be on their game as well. But again, the team out in front of them has to do their part in helping as well because those Piotr and Ansi, they can only do but so much. They need the guys, out in front to help support them. And so that's again just every guy has got to show up for this game tonight. Plain and freaking simple. Just show up. Make it a game. I don't care if they win or lose. Again, would love for them to win. Absolutely love it if they did. But just show up and make it a game. Have something to build off of. Play as a team. Be on the same page. That's it. It's the most simple thing they need to do. Play as a team. Be on the same page. Support each other and show up. They do that. I'll be satisfied, win or lose. Again, want the win, but if they can just do that, just do that simple thing, and they'll be okay. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. Because we've been saying this, it feels like the majority of the season. So at the end of the day, we're just going to have to watch the game tonight. Hopefully, it's not as much of a dumpster fire as last night's game was, but we're just going to have to wait and see. So try to enjoy the game tonight, folks. Please try. I'm going to try to, but make sure you're following the show along at LO_Hurricanes and myself at Jared Ellis _96. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. And as always, folks, even though that game was tough last night and we're all frustrated, let's go Canes.